Welcome to CEC Gurukul lectures. In the series of financial accounting, today we are going to cover basic accounting terms. And in these basic accounting terms, we are going to cover all these basic accounting terms: entity, event, capital, business transactions, drawings, assets, goods, purchase, sales, stock, bills receivable, debtors, and many more other accounting terms. To begin with, the first accounting term is entity. An entity means an economic unit that perform economic activities, and the examples of entity are individuals, sole proprietorship, partnership, companies, trusts, NGOs, clubs and societies, and government institutions. The next accounting term is event. Events are all incidences or occurrences that relate to the business or have an impact on the business of the entity. The next important term is business transaction. A business transaction is an event. As I have explained you what is event. So business transaction is an event that must be measurable in terms of money and which has an impact on the financial position of the business. So all those events which can be measured in terms of money and which has a impact on the financial position of the business. What is financial position? That is balance sheet. So all those transactions which can be measured in terms of money and which has an impact on the financial position of the business are known as business transactions. Example: goods purchased for cash, goods purchased for credit, goods sold for cash, for credit, salary paid, rent paid. These are the examples of business transaction. Now, the next is, what is the difference between event and transaction? All event are not transactions, while all transactions are event. What does it mean? It means transaction is wider in scope and it includes event as well. An event may or may not bring change in the financial position of a firm, whereas transaction must bring financial change. To know it better, next difference of this event and transaction is financial changes caused by event may or may not be measurable in terms of money. That means it is not necessary every event can be measured in terms of money. This can be explained by an example. There is an event and the event is death of a skilled employee. This may have an impact on the turnover of the company, but this event cannot be measured in terms of money, so this will not be recorded as this will not be identified as a business transaction. Whereas transaction, the financial changes caused by transaction must be measurable in terms of money. Now, the next important term of accounting is drawings. Drawings is what? Drawings refers to the total amount of cash or goods or any other assets withdrawn by the owner for his personal use. So, whenever owner is doing some transaction with the business and he is withdrawing some cash or he is withdrawing some goods from the business for his personal use, that transaction is depicted with the name drawings. This can be explained by with the example. Let's take an example here. If cash of rupees 20,000 and goods costing rupees 10,000 are withdrawn by owner for his personal use, then the entire amount, that is rupees 20,000 and rupees 10,000, is called the amount of drawings. This drawings is shown on the liability side of the balance sheet. The next term which is related with the owner is capital. Capital means that amount or asset which is invested in business by the owner. So anything which is invested by the owner into the business is known as a capital, whether he is investing cash or he is investing asset. This is the internal liability of the business towards the owner. It is also called net worth or owner's equity. Capital is the excess of assets over external liabilities, and this can be explained by the formula. To calculate capital, the formula is assets minus liabilities. The example of capital: cash invested by owner into the business, asset invested by the owner into the business. So, capital and drawings, these are the two terms which are related with the owner of the business. So, whenever owner is investing something into the business or he is withdrawing something from the business, that has to be recorded by the business. Okay, and these two transactions will be depicted with the name capital. If he is investing something into the business, that would be depicted with the name capital, and if he is withdrawing something from the business, that would be depicted with the name drawings. And this capital would be shown on the asset side of the balance sheet. The next term is goods. Goods refer to the item in which the enterprise deals in. This is any item in which the enterprise deals in. Example: furniture purchased by furniture dealer. So, the furniture dealer is dealing in what? He is dealing into the furniture items. So, goods for him would be furniture. Car purchased by car dealer. So, the goods here for car dealer is cars. Land purchased by property dealer. So, land here is the goods for property dealer. The next term in accounting is purchases. Purchases refer to the total amount of goods obtained by an enterprise for resale or for use in the production of goods or rendering services in the normal course of business. These purchases may be cash or credit. So, if you are buying something from the supplier either for the consumption or for resale, that would be treated as a purchase. Let's take an example here that you have purchased 10 units at the rate of rupees 2 are purchased for cash, and the entire amount 10 units at the rate of 2, that is rupees 200 is the amount of cash purchase, and these purchases are shown in the trading account. Next is sales. The term sales refers to the amount for which goods are sold or services are rendered. The sales may be again for cash or for credit. Let's take an example here. 50 units at the rate of rupees 30 are sold to Mr. A on credit. So, this is the credit transaction, and here 50 units at the rate of 30 are sold to Mr. A. The entire amount, that is rupees 1500, is the amount of credit sales, and these credit sales are shown in the trading account on the credit side. The next term is stock. The term stock refers to tangible property held for the purpose of sale. What do you mean by tangible? Tangible means anything which can be touched or seen. So, stock refers to tangible property which is meant for the purpose of sale in the ordinary course of business or for consumption in the production of goods or services. We classify, for a manufacturing firm, we classify stock into three categories, into three parts. The first one is stock of raw material, stock of work in progress, stock of finished goods. Let's take an example here. If you are into the manufacturing of furniture, then wood and other material which is required for the manufacturing of that furniture would be treated as a raw material, and after some processing, that stock would be known as a stock of work in progress. What is work in progress? Which is not ready for sale, which is still in a progress. There is some processing left on that. And the finished goods are those items which are ready for sale. So, in the manufacturing firm, there are three types of stock. One is stock of raw material, stock of work in progress, and stock of finished goods. Stock can also be classified as opening stock or closing stock. Opening stock means the unsold goods at the beginning of the current accounting period, which remain unsold in the beginning of the accounting period, and closing stock means the unsold goods at the end of the current accounting period. And this opening stock is shown in the trading account and closing stock is shown in the balance sheet. Next term is trade receivable. The term trade receivable includes trade debtors and bills receivable. Trade debtors refers to the person from whom the amount is due for goods or services on credit basis. Let's take an example here. 50 units at the rate of rupees 10 are sold to Mr. A on credit basis. This is again a credit transaction. So you have sold 50 units at the rate of rupees 10 to Mr. A on a credit basis. So the entire amount, that is 50 units at the rate of 10, that is rupees 500. So Mr. A is a trade debtor of rupees 500, and trade debtors are listed in the list of current assets, and current assets are shown in the balance sheet. The next term which comes under trade receivables is bills receivable. If a company has provided credit sales or services to anyone, then it will write a bill on the debtor of that amount due which is payable in future, and that such bill is termed as bills receivable. The next very important term in accounting or in commerce is assets. An asset is a resource with economic value that an enterprise owns or control with the expectation that it will provide a future benefit. There are three key properties of asset, and these key properties are ownership, economic value and resource. The first is ownership. Asset represent ownership that can be eventually turned into cash or cash equivalent. That means for saying that asset, there should be ownership on that particular thing. If that property, that thing belongs to somebody else, you cannot say that is my asset. For asset, there should be some economic value, and it says assets have economic value and can be exchanged or sold. The third is resource. Assets are the resources that can be used to generate future economic benefits. Assets can be classified into three categories: fixed assets, current assets and fictitious assets. Further, fixed assets can be classified into two categories. One is tangible and another is intangible asset. Fixed assets are those assets which are held for the purpose or producing or providing goods or services, and those are not held for the purpose of resale. That means these are those assets which are kept in the business not for the purpose of resale. These assets are shown in the balance sheet not according to their liquidity but from most permanent to less permanent. These assets are classified on the basis of their tangibility, that is tangible fixed assets and intangible fixed assets. Tangible fixed assets are those fixed assets which has some physical existence. As I have explained you earlier, that tangible means anything which can be touched. So tangible fixed assets which has some physical existence. Examples: land and building, plant and machinery, furniture and fixtures. Now the next type of assets are intangible fixed assets. Those fixed assets which do not have any physical existence. They are not visible. They cannot be touched or seen, they can be felt only. And the examples of intangible fixed assets are goodwill, patent, copyright, trademark. Next type of assets which comes under the category of assets are current assets. Current assets are also known as floating assets. Current assets are assets that can be easily converted into cash or cash equivalent. Current assets are held in the form of cash, that is cash in hand or cash at bank. Whatever cash you are having in your pocket, that is known as your current asset. Second, for the conversion into cash, normally within 12 months from the date of balance sheet. Example, stock of finished goods. As soon as you sell the finished goods item to your customers, that is converted into cash. As soon as you get the amount which is due on your debtor, that is converted into cash. So the examples of this are stock of finished goods, debtors, bills receivable, accrued income. Accrued income means income due but not received. This also comes under the category of current assets. The next is for their consumption in the production of goods or rendering services in the normal course of business. And the examples of this are stock of raw material and work in progress. Now the important point come here is how to determine whether an asset is a current asset or whether an asset is a fixed asset. So how to determine this? An asset is classified either as current or as a fixed asset on the basis of the purpose for which an asset is held in the hands of user. So this all depends on the purpose for which you are using that particular asset. Let's clear it with an example. In case of furniture manufacturers or dealer, he is dealing in the furniture business. So furniture is treated as stock, and because this furniture is treated as stock and this is kept for the purpose of what? The purpose of keeping this furniture in the business is for the purpose of sale. So the purpose of keeping this furniture is sale. So in this case, this furniture is treated as a current asset, not fixed asset. Let's take one more example here. If you are running a showroom, then the entire furniture which is kept in the showroom, that is kept not for the purpose of sale but for running that particular business. So here this furniture would be treated as fixed asset. So how to classify whether the asset is to be treated as a current asset or a fixed asset? This all depends on the purpose for which it is kept. Now fictitious assets. Fictitious assets, this is very important term in accounting, and sometimes students they confuse it with the intangible assets. They are not very much clear about this fictitious assets, what they are, though these assets are shown in the balance sheet, but sometimes students they are confused about this term fictitious asset. Fictitious, as its name reveals, fictitious means fake, which is actually not asset, which are fictitious in nature. So fictitious assets are expenses and losses which for some reason are not written off during the current accounting period. They are not actually assets. They are not actually assets, and they are shown in the balance sheet just because of the reason they have a debit balance. They are shown in the financial statement only for time being. They are temporary. Actually, these are the expenses and losses, and they are shown in the balance sheet only for the time being unless they are written off. They are written off against firm's earning in more than one accounting period. They are amortized over a period of time. So this fictitious assets can be explained by the example. I am giving you few examples of the fictitious assets, and the examples of the fictitious assets are, the first one is preliminary expenses. As its name reveals, preliminary expenses. those expenses which incurred before the incorporation of a business. These expenses are very heavy expenses and cannot be written off in any one accounting period. So, because of this reason, these preliminary expenses are classified under the list of fictitious assets. The another example of fictitious asset is discount allowed on issue of share. What is discount allowed on issue of share? Let's take one example here. The value of share, nominal value of a share is rupees 100 and you have issued the share for rupees 90. The discount which you have given, that is rupees 10, is discount allowed at the time of issuing of share. So, company has given rupees 10 as a discount at the time of issuing share and company has issued 1 lakh shares. So, 1 lakh shares at the rate of 10, which is a discount which a company has given to the shareholders. So, this is again a very heavy expense and this cannot be written off in any one of the accounting year. So, this also comes in the list of fictitious assets. The next example of fictitious asset is loss incurred on the issue of debenture. So, whatever loss incurred in the issuing of debenture, that also comes under the list of fictitious assets. The last one is debit balance of profit and loss account. As you can see, all these are whether expenses or losses. These are not assets. But the important point, if these are not assets, then why these assets, why these fictitious things are shown in the balance sheet? The logic behind it, because they have a debit balance. The simple rule behind is expenses and losses, they have a debit balance. So, whenever you are doing the entry, general entry for expenses and losses, all expenses and losses are to be debited in accounting. Because of this reason, they have a debit balance and all the ledger accounts which have a debit balance are shown in the balance sheet unless they are written off. I am giving you one more example of fictitious assets. Let's take this example. Preliminary expenses are of rupees 1 lakh, but only 1/5 is written off. Then in this case, 1/5, that is out of 1 lakh, 1/5 rupees 20,000 will be shown in the balance sheet. Rupees 20,000 will be shown in the profit and loss account. So, out of 1 lakh, whatever you are writing off, that would be shown in the profit and loss account. And whatever is left out of 1 lakh, 20,000 you have shown, 20,000 you have shown in the profit and loss account, and the amount which is left, which is rupees 80,000, will be shown in the balance sheet. Unless you write it off completely. So, 80,000 will be shown in the balance sheet and 20,000, this amount will be shown in the profit and loss account. So, when you are showing rupees 80,000 under the head of fictitious assets are generally shown in the balance sheet with the head of miscellaneous expenditure. So, when you are showing rupees 80,000 in a balance sheet, in the next year this would be again written off against the profit and loss account, and again 20,000 we will be showing in the profit and loss account, and the remaining amount, that is 60,000, will be shown in the next year balance sheet. Then again this 60,000, out of the 60,000 we will be writing off the 20,000 in the next year balance sheet, and that will be shown in the profit and loss account, and again 40,000 will be shown in the balance sheet. So, this entire amount of rupees 1 lakh will be amortized over a period of 5 years, and this 1 lakh would be divided by 5, and this would be divided, this would be shown in 5 years. 20,000 every year we are writing off, and the remaining amount will be showing in the balance sheet unless it is written off. Thank you so much.